Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. If you are listening on YouTube, if you are viewing us live on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, you can see we want to answer your questions. Please submit them. We will get to as many of them as possible. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Know this, Ohio State is holding practice this morning. Our staff is there. Patrick Murphy, Dave Biddle, and Steve Hellwagon are there with bells on. After the practice, they will get to talk to Ryan Day, Kevin Wilson, and Jim Knowles. So you'll want to stick around for that, and then you'll get a Bucknuts breakdown just like this, live, with two of the guys, maybe three, after practice. And they will give you a rundown on what they saw as we get further and further into spring practice. It can mean only one thing. Duane Long is here. Duane, once again, we do not show Duane's face on the live broadcast because we want to preserve his naked jaunt access. Duane, how goes it this morning, brother?
Oh, I'm enjoying my location. It is an undisclosed location, must remain that way for a while. But you made me comfortable, and naked jaunts are definitely in the future.
We talked over the phone about how we're going to do this show, and we came up with several concepts. First of which, Duane is going to give you three youngsters we really need to focus on. Good morning, Evan. And then we're going to start hitting your questions, and we'll just do this like we always do. The first guy is a very well-known name. We're going to focus on youngsters, like I said. The first one, Ryan Montgomery, Findlay, Ohio. Your thoughts?
I watched his film when I heard, after we got his brother, which is a big time get for us. I heard talk about his brother, and his name came up several times. So I said, let me look at this kid. And I pulled up his film, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing, Dan. I could not believe that this kid had this kind of arm accuracy. He moves well. I mean, it's just wow, is what I watched it a second time simply to see, did I really see that? This is a kid of the future. We got his brother here. So obviously we got the family on board. We need to secure this kid and make sure that he's a Buckeye. Don't mess around. There's no reason to mess around. Just take a look at him on film, and you'll see there's nothing to wait on. Let's go ahead and get him. He's a 2025 kid. Yeah. 2025 kid. So you're thinking, wow, that's awful young. Yeah, well, get him.
All right, make sure you're talking into the microphone there. You're sound a little bit far away. The next guy I want to talk about, and you'll see a theme developing here, Zayden Walker, linebacker from Schley County in Georgia. Georgia continues to be just a talent-rich state. Zayden Walker, another 25 kid who has jumped off the screen Ohio State has already offered.
His another kid that you're thinking, how can a kid that young be that good? He is really special.
Hey, Duane, make sure you're getting your mouth next to the microphone, brother.
How about now?
Go ahead.
He's about as good a running back, but as a linebacker, he is just really special. Runs great instincts. He's got everything that you want in a linebacker, and especially at this age, it's very impressive to see a kid that good this soon. I would take him right now.
Definitely one to watch. Bill has the coverage on that, so you want to be on that. The next guy, another guy Ohio State has offered, and what makes Jeremiah Smith, a wide receiver out of Chaminade, Madonna, he's a 24 kid. What makes him interesting is Bill Kurlick has rolled his crystal ball through there, and Parker Tooney, an Oklahoma guy, has also rolled a crystal ball for the Buckeyes. You're very happy about this.
Oh, absolutely. I watched him soon after I watched Carnell Tate and said, yeah, Carnell Tate, I see why he's being talked about as the number one receiver in the country and why people are saying he reminds them of Michael Irvin. I watched Smith, Jeremiah Smith. Remember this name, Buckeye fans. And I'm telling you, you don't know which one's which. You tell me which one is the kids that's going to be a senior and the one that's going to be a junior. You show me. They are outstanding. Both of them long, athletic kids. They're fast enough to take the top off the defense, but then they make those back shoulder catches that just go up and take the ball away from a defensive back. The Jeremiah Smith, that is music to my ears. That we're in a situation with him where we're crystal balling him this early.
All right, those are 3 names you need to have logged in for good. You can expect tons of coverage on those guys. What we like to do here is kind of introduce the names to you and then get them in the hopper, and we'll discuss them ad nauseum. Obviously, Thursdays we will bring in Mark Porter and Bill Kurlick for their unique brand of wit and wisdom to comment on these guys. What we're going to do today is a little bit different also. I'm going to try and check this. Let me see if I can get this going here. We're going to ask you guys a question, and I'm going to leave it out there, and you can work on it and get back to us with it. And here it is. Has Ohio State or any team ever had the top quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in the country on the same team? That's what we want to know. Has Ohio State or any team ever had the top quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in the country on the same team? You can answer, comment below. We will give you credit if you think of it. The reason we've put this out there is because I'm trying to show that in the main thing. I can't seem to do that where I want it. Let's see here. Anyway, has Ohio State or any team ever had the top quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in the country on the same team? We asked that because Ohio State could very well this year have the best quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in the country, and that is unheard of. And I actually could not think of one in the past, so I'm asking you people to come through and come up with that. Nick Stamen asks, what position group is being interviewed today? That is not how it's working today. They're going with the coaches today. You're not going to get the players. You're going to get Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, and Kevin Wilson. Those guys will have plenty to go with. Duane, question from Mike Schaefer. Do we have a shot at adding Levius Overton to the class of 2022? I think it's a long shot. What do you think? Levius Overton has talked to almost every school in the country that has national championship aspirations. I just don't see him getting out of the South.
I really don't. I don't. There's just no reason. We haven't heard about him on the radar here. I just don't see that happening. I don't get your hopes up with that. And or do we have the room for him right now? We're moving forward. We got a lot of look at the sheer number of recruits we're bringing in right now. So I don't think we're really taking a hard look at him. I don't know how interested we are. It appears not very much.
He's one of those guys that you take if he wants to come, and he doesn't really want to come, I don't think. So I don't think it's going to be an issue, but he's that kind of guy. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, we're going to take a quick break. For those of you watching live, you get to not have to take a break. All right, here's a name we've talked about a lot. A.J. Hoffler, a defensive end from Georgia that both of us were surprised Ohio State is in such good shape with. So I did a little research. He does not have an offer from the University of Georgia, despite being a Georgia native. The research is this. Believe it or not, they just have guys they like better. So when you look at A.J. Hoffler and think, oh, he's a Georgia kid, we're not going to have a chance. Oh, Georgia has not even offered. And at this point, they'd be playing major catch-up. Your thoughts on Hoffler and the idea that Georgia hasn't even offered?
Well, that is interesting. I would like to see this list of guys they've got better than him. If I'm not saying he's number one in the country, but my goodness, when you add the in-state kid factor, that would put him at the top of the list. He's right there as one of the top defensive ends in the country, and he's an in-state kid. And you're looking to go out of state and bring in kids that you like better. I don't know. I don't know if that's a smart move. And the kid watch his film. All you got to do is watch 3 plays and say, yeah, we need that kid in our locker room. So I'm happy. I couldn't be happier that Georgia has decided to snub him right now. It's going to be hard for them to come back from that, Dan. Later on, if they decide, whoops, we made a mistake, that's probably not going to go over real well. So let's get on him now and try to get him to commit up here.
Spider Sillery, a fantastic devotee to the live podcast, puts a vote in for the current cadre of C.J. Stroud, Travion Henderson, and Jackson Smith-Njigba being possibly number one at their position across the board. Very impressive. Manny Ja asks us, Duane, what is your take on Chris Sims, former Texas quarterback, son of Phil, not having Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson on his top 5 wide receivers for the NFL draft?
Well, maybe they shouldn't talk to him anymore because he obviously doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. My Lord. He's the only person who doesn't have him in the top 5. And, since he didn't do a very good job of finding receivers when he was a player, I'm not going to take what he has to say about receivers in the draft very seriously.
Look, everybody has their own opinion of the draft and the talent in the draft. It's fair to say Chris Sims is in the extreme minority to not have either one of them in the top 5 when I haven't seen any ranking that doesn't have both of them in the top 5. If you'll remember, Chris Sims did a contrarian deal like this with Justin Fields last year as well. He tries to kind of shock people with his wild views. And look, he may be right, but if I were drafting in the top 5, I'm not sure there's 5 guys I would take over those receivers in any case. So that just makes no sense to me. Michael Yonke, I assume that's another vote for our trio of studs now. Duane, what do you think about that? Think back to Ohio State. Have we ever really had – I mean, you could even say that C.J. Stroud he's definitely the top passer or top quarterback on some NFL boards. I imagine Travion Henderson's battling that out with Bijan Robinson. And anybody, attention Chris Sims, anybody who won't have Jackson Smith-Njigba in the top 5 is going to need to be possibly institutionalized. What's your vibe?
I can't think of any. I've been trying to think back. My first thought was to go back to some of those Miami teams, but they didn't have a great backs on that team. There were a couple over that stretch when Miami was maybe the top program in the country. Just it wasn't a long span, but they were incredible there for a minute. But they did not have the elite backs. And as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, you want to talk about a quarterback graveyard. Those guys are winning Heisman trophies, national championships, and in the NFL, they just nothing came from them. Whereas there's no way C.J. Stroud is going to be the top quarterback in the draft. Promise you, he's going to be number 1. Smith-Njigba. Look at that performance. Last time the guy was on the field, everybody in college football, every fan of college football, every commentator was talking about that performance of his. And it's even last year, people were saying Henderson was the top back in the country. And as you said, the only one that would even belong in an argument is Bijan Robinson. So I can't think of any team that had that combination. No.
I agree. That's why I came up with the idea. I think there may have been times when Ohio State or another crew had who worked out to be the top three guys, but not that would top the draft boards as well. All right, Spider Sillery following up on AJ Hoffler. Hasn't AJ been to Georgia a couple of times despite no offer? He has, but keep this in mind. The NFL draft is about to take place, and virtually every pick in the first round is going to be a guy who played defense for Georgia. So I think Georgia thinks they're going to get every guy on their wish list this year. And if they haven't offered AJ yet, he's not on the wish list. So, yes, could they come back in with an offer because he has an interest and he's an in-state kid? I think they probably could. But I just think Georgia's probably in position to get the guys they want, and AJ won't even come up. So we'll see. Spider Sillery approves of your response, Duane. Stephen, can I get this here? Stephen Loki. Will Bijan Robinson be back this season? I believe he's already announced he will be back. My guess is he has some serious NIL reasons to come back. Lest we forget, Georgia is cranking things right now. From a recruiting perspective, they're really trying to amp things up. Obviously, Quinn Ewers is there, and they are locked in the Arch Manning tussle with Georgia. So that's one to watch for sure. See if we get any more questions here. If we don't, we want to wrap the show up. I will give it a minute or two. I think we're just going to wrap it. Keep it in mind. We are going to be here after today's practice. They will be Dave and possibly Pat Murphy or Steve Howlagan giving you a complete rundown of what they see, and they will have Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, and Kevin Wilson there to talk about it. So we appreciate Duane stopping by. Have a good one, Bucknutters.